two primary focus.
Cooperation.
Right. We're coming together as a group. We're believers first, and then we're whatever other name tag we have on us, but we're followers of Jesus. We're coming together in unity to pray and seek God for our community. Then that resulted in some transformation. Some lives changed.
And I would add one thing into there, and that is prayer, community, what you're saying, and desperation. Mm-hmm. Because the ministries came together, and the leaders, I remember the meeting, one of the early meetings on, we took a survey. It was real simple. How many people come to Christ in your ministry last year, your church? We added that number up, and we compared it to the 50,000 students that were at UT. I won't tell you how many. Well, actually, I will. 50.
Wow.
50 was all that everybody. There were churches there of 1,000. So these weren't just small churches, and they were devastated. And out of that desperation, they said, we are willing now to give up our programs, our time, our effort, our jobs, even if we have to see more than this. Because with all of our ministries and churches, there has to be more than 50 people that we can see come to Christ at UT. Now, of course, salvation is not the only measure of spiritual growth, but at that point, at least it was a place to start. Yeah. And so it was also desperation, I think, as well.
But, I historically speaking, revival has come when one or two things have happened from history. One is people see the holiness of God and they say, man, I'm a mess. My life doesn't come anywhere close to this. And so they're broken. And the second thing is that people see the love of God and they say, man, look at the world around us and we're doing absolutely nothing to express God's love for the world around us. So God has normally driven people to the point of desperation through their seeing the holiness of God or they're seeing the love of God for the world around them. So, which is what it sounds to me like it's happening. But, okay, so you start prayer, a spirit of community, unity, and then this feeling of desperation. But then at some point in time now, it's moved into evangelism and planting churches and having a heart for the world.
Yes, absolutely. And it's always been there, but I think we've sowed we've always been doing that. We have for example, a 5-year journal for the past 5 years, and we have been spiritually mapping out the campus, finding out what God is doing, what the enemy is doing, praying into that, taking action. And we've done all sorts of actions, from corporate events to evangelism to all different things you can think of. 24-hour prayer rooms, week-long prayer rooms and things. But I would say that it's beginning to really, like I was talking about at the conference, where it happens first in the spiritual realm. And you begin to win the battle in the spiritual realm. And then the climate over that geographic space begins to, in this case, slowly change. And then you start seeing differences in the natural realm. And I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to run downhill, and we're starting to see a lot more of the physical realm stuff happening, more and more and more. But if that groundwork had not been sown to dig into some of the things that have been negatively done in the spiritual climate at UT for so many years, I don't think we'd be where we are now.
Let me just give you a warning, and having been around long enough to know that you do run that downhill for a while, but then you start going uphill again.
Oh yeah,
you climb bigger mountains,
a thing.
And God gives you bigger mountains to climb, and then there's battles and all along the way, and then the downhill part is the fun part. But you can't go downhill unless you get to the top.
Absolutely. That's the key thing we've learned, I think. Justin and I, my staff worker, and there's another guy, Justin, that's been working with me the whole time, and he's been intimately involved, and even more so than I have a lot of times because I'm traveling to other campuses. But what I guess what I would say is persistence is one of the keys. Yeah. Just like the persistent widow, that we never give up, that we're constantly asking God to move, we're constantly trusting Him in the bad times and the good times. Things are going great, and times where it's very difficult, and that knowing that He is hearing our prayers and He's going to answer them.
And I'm really excited about that. One of the things that I think about university campuses today in America, the reason they are so critically important, and I just believe if we could just get a vision of what God wants to do, and the reason He wants to do it is because the leaders of the world are being trained on university campuses in America today. In any major university campus you go to, you're going to find some of the top people in the world that are going to be leaders. Everywhere I go, I travel internationally, and everywhere I go, Africa, I met members of Parliament and who've studied in the United States, and they're in various African nations. Met prime ministers. I've met people in high places. In fact, not only that, but Christian movement and some countries that are what we call closed countries. Some of the people that we work with are people who have studied in the United States and became Christians in the United States, and then went back to their country, and they're leaders in underground movements for Christ. And so it's a critical place and critical time. And so, boy, I just applaud what God has done and what He is doing. And I just would ask that the people who are watching this webcast would really pray for the University of Texas, would pray for all of our university campuses. How many universities are your ministry working on?
And that's something I would love to share, because I think it's really critical to know. We've talked about UT because you wanted to hear about me personally, but really about what God is doing across our nation with the university campuses. Even if we have to edit out some of the stuff in the beginning, but I really think that what God is doing right now on university campuses across our nation, that we could be on the verge of another major revival in our nation. Of course, revivals have traditionally started on college campuses, in our country especially. And I believe that we could quite possibly, very definitely, be on the edge of another major revival in our nation. I would say that right now we worked with several other campus ministries to form something called the Campus Transformation Network that we started just in January. We put up a website encouraging people to do 24-hour-a-day prayer rooms on their campus, where they would set up a prayer room and have all the Christians gather to begin praying in that prayer room at different hours, and have constant prayer for revival and transformation. And through that cooperative effort between a couple different ministries that are national ministries, in less than 2 months, and this is unheard of in campus ministry, we've seen about over 70 campuses, and actually 100 campuses in China, I don't know how they found out about it, that have signed up to do this and have done it in prayer rooms in their rooms, so that there has been unbroken prayer and we thought, well, we'll do it for a semester, but it seems like it's just continuing. And when I talk to other national leaders of campus ministries right now, and other different leaders in general, local leaders, regional leaders, they all have the same sense that God is just doing something that is above and beyond what any of us are putting into it. That basically God is just moving, and He has this heart for college campuses, not just in general, but even for right now, that He's doing something to bring revival and transformation to our nation through the college campuses. We're talking students praying 24/7. We're talking about national leaders getting together to pray. We're talking about certain campuses like Asbury. Asbury had a awakening and revival that occurred there even this semester. And I think that that's just the first fruits. I think what we saw happen at Asbury, where students were on their faces before God for a week, and there was all over the campus, there were healings of people. There were all sorts of things that you see coming along with revival, new people coming to Christ, many things like that occurring. That basically, and these are students that had never seen that before in many cases, that basically that's just a first fruit. And I think God's going to bring that. Harvard, people talk about Harvard. If you look at all the revivals in the past history of America, Harvard has not been significantly touched. It just hasn't. If you look at different ones, even when there was the massive revival in Boston that spread from New York, that did not affect Harvard very significantly.